Welcome to the Vault. I'm excited to share with you tips on how to be great with your virtual listing presentation. Before we begin that specifically though, I want to talk to you about Mike's qualities of a great presenter, because those qualities don't change because you're on a screen. You have to enhance them and get better at them because you are presenting virtually through a computer or your iPhone. So let's talk about this. Ready? Qualities of a great presenter. Let's write down number 1, 100% belief in yourself. What I'm saying, what I'm doing, and what I'm expecting to have happen. You have to believe and know that when you present through a device, that you need to be really good at that. So number 1, qualities of a great presenter, 100% belief in yourself. That means when you go to do a virtual listing presentation, you must practice. We'll talk more about that later. Number 2, a highly professional image. Dress for success. Number 3, Mike says, a strong, positive attitude. See, how we look at ourselves and how we're presenting through a computer, you have to have a strong attitude. And when you're presenting to a seller, you know that a piece of why they're choosing you is because you're positive and you're upbeat. So that's number 3, qualities of a great presenter. Number 4, we need to take control of our environment. This is super important when you're presenting virtually. What I mean by environment is what's around you, what's your background, what's your light. We'll talk more about that later. But number 4, Mike's saying we must take control of our environment, not necessarily the physical, even though when you present virtually, physical is huge. But what are you reading? What are you putting in your head? Are you listening to Mike's messages every day? What about Mike Ferry TV? So we have to have and take control of our environment. It's critical. Number 5, qualities of a great presenter, we must have a direct approach. Not a wishy-washy approach. No one wants to work with a wishy-washy agent. So a direct approach. And when you're presenting virtually, you've got to see and understand that a direct approach, is super important. And you have to understand who you're talking to, what the personality styles are, and making sure you're adapting to them. So he says a direct approach. Number 6, high expectation of yourself, that there is no one better than you out there to get this listing presentation. You have to have high expectations. Again, when you're presenting virtually, you have to make sure that you know how to present and you take the time so you feel confident and you do have high expectations that you're going to get the listing. Number 7, tremendous energy. We need to say no more about that. You've got to have tremendous energy. Number 8, endless enthusiasm. You know what Mike always says. People are going to buy from you and believe in you because you're enthusiastic and they can feel it. So be enthusiastic. Remember, be enthusiastic based on what their personality style is too. Okay, so there's 8 qualities of a great listing presentation and a great presenter. That's just what we went through. I want you to take the time to write those out. And remember, when you're presenting virtually, you must remember them and look at them before you present virtually. Okay, now we're going to get into tips for a great virtual listing presentation. First, number 1 tip, be clear on what video conference platform that you want to use for your presentation. Is it Zoom? That's a popular one. You need to make sure that the client knows how to use Zoom, if that's what you prefer. Or you may have to ask the client, would you prefer Zoom or would you prefer FaceTime? What works for you? And if they don't know, then you have to send them instructions about how to use it. So set the stage prior to going on the listing presentation. Number 2 tip for a great virtual listing presentation, your pre-listing package. You need to email it or mail it. Ask the client. In today's world, people may not want mail. So ask them if they would like it emailed if that's okay with them. The key right here is that you have to make sure when you send the pre-listing package and the comparative market analysis that they're clear on what the CMA, where it is, and how you can effectively communicate with them. So what I want you to do with your comparative market analysis in the pre-listing package, I want you simply just to write on the top, page 1, page 2, and page 3 for all of your comps so they can visually see it and it's very clear for them. Okay? So that's super important. Your pre-listing package. The other thing with your pre-listing package, you need to make sure that you have virtual marketing solutions in your plan of action. They're going to want to know, how are you going to sell my home virtually? What are you going to do a virtual open house? What are you going to do a virtual selling? So make sure, tip number 2, is that the comparative market analysis is easy to read for them and that you put your virtual marketing solutions in your plan of action. Tip number 3, when it comes to presenting virtually, lighting is the key. As you can see from where I am standing, I have light coming in on me. Natural light is the best. So if you can stand in front of a window, it's a soft light though, it's not direct sunlight. If you can't do that, you need to get a ring light. R-I-N-G light. It's a round light. You can get it at Amazon Prime. That needs to be in front of you. You also need to have light on both sides of you and not necessarily behind you. You see there's no overhead lights and there's no light behind me. So lighting is critical. You need to make sure you have to have natural light in your face, lighting on each side, and not light behind you. If you do that and you have light behind you, you get shadows. So look what happens when I just move a little bit. Okay? Or I back up a little bit. See the shadows starting to come here? You need to be very careful with your lighting, otherwise it's distorted. Do not have something dark in front of you. It doesn't work. They can't see you, and then they get distracted. Okay? Lighting is the key when it comes to presenting virtually. Next point, number 4. You must have a neutral background, right? Or something gentle. So you can see behind me, I have maybe a photo. The door is closed. There's another picture over here. So neutral background. No one wants to see your junk, okay? So watch when you watch people with their virtual presentation, or if you're doing Zoom, take a look. I've seen laundry, behind us. Your clients don't want to see your laundry, okay? So the key is you must have a neutral background. Very, very important. So neutral background. Here's another tip with your background. When, in fact, you're doing a virtual listing presentation, you can put your company's logo or your logo behind you. So you can have, if you're, for our company, green, a dark, deep green is our color. So we have a green screen that goes behind us with the company logo, and it's subtle and it looks fantastic. Another tip with your background is that you're going on a listing presentation. You want to take a picture of the home you're going on, and you can actually put that in your background with your logo or your company logo. Very, very important. Number 5. Keep your eyes at eye level or above, okay? That's really important. Do not look down, because then you're looking down on your client, and that feels weird. The other thing that I want to say with this point, stop looking at yourself and how good you look, okay? No one cares. Now, you need to look professional, so I'm not saying that, but what happens when you watch people with video or Zoom, they're constantly looking at how they look. Do I look good? Do I look great? And then you're not paying attention to the client when you're presenting, there's a disconnect. So stop looking at yourself, okay? Number 6, tips for a great virtual listing presentation. Watch your body language. Remember, effective communication when you're communicating with people in person or through a lens or a screen, body language, 55% is body language, 38% is your tonality, and 7% are the words. So you must watch your body language. Here's another thing I notice all the time with people that are on Zoom or in video. You need to understand that you can't put your hands close to the camera because it looks really big and then it pushes people back. The other thing that you have to remember is stop touching your face. Everyone touches their face. In today's social distancing, 6 feet apart, and with all the germs, don't touch your face. No one wants to see you touch your face. Not to mention, you see people like, fixing their hair or playing with their ears or playing with a necklace. Be very careful that the body language, they're watching you, okay? Stop moving too much. Pay attention. Number 7, with video presentations, okay, there is a screen share that you can use with Zoom, okay? So you're presenting a listing presentation. We've role-played this. We've practiced it a lot of my clients. And so you go use the screen share, which is very professional if you know how to use it well. If you don't, it's cluttery. There's pauses. A screen share is nothing more than putting the CMA up in the screen so that the client can see it. Okay, if you're going to do that, make sure you highlight the number of bathrooms, the number of bedrooms, the square footage, the days on the market. So their eye goes directly to that as you're presenting it over the screen. So screen share can be very effective, but you need to practice it. If you're not comfortable with it, do what I said before. Send the CMA presentation, put each comp on one page each, and number the page at the top so that when you present, it's very easy for them to get to the CMA presentation because you're not in front of them. And you just simply say, go to page 1, go to page 2, go to page 3, even if you have to take a Sharpie and write the page numbers on your comparative market analysis. Okay, so screen share can be effective, or it can't. The key with all of this is practice. Okay, so number 8, as we said before, in Mike's Quality as a Great Presenter, you need to dress for success. Business attire always. Make sure that your hair is brushed, your teeth are clean. If you wear makeup, make sure it's clean and fresh and vibrant. These things are important because people are looking at you. Okay, and number 9, to wrap up the great tips to be great at a virtual presentation, you need to take the time and practice, practice, practice. Everything. You've got to look at Zoom, hit the record button if that's what you're using. Look at the color on your face. Make sure the light is correct. Go ahead and practice how you present in front of people. Do your entire CMA presentation, listing presentation. Thanks again for having me over. I'm excited about getting your home on the market and getting it sold. Do you mind if I take a quick look around? Take your Zoom and please walk me through your house or your camera, right? So we need to practice presenting on our screen with a computer. I wrote down 3 real important questions for you. Do you absolutely have to sell this home? Will you price the home to sell, or do you want to keep it on the market for a long period of time? Do you want me to handle the sale for you? So you need to practice over and over your presentation. Look for your background, make sure your lighting is great, work on all of these tips so that when you go out, no one's going to beat you in a virtual listing presentation. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us on The Vault.